MJF's AEW contract is up in January 2024, and I think I already know who's winning the Royal Rumble just a few weeks after that.
Oh shit! It's Pro Wrestling Bits!
MJF continues to have reported tensions with Tony Khan, who thought it was a good idea to let one of his top stars openly advertise his expiring contract on Tony Khan's television, which costs millions of dollars to produce every week. Roll the footage in case you motherfuckers forgot. This is gonna be a cold, hard lesson for fourth-year booker Tony Khan about letting talent on your television when they don't have a contract. Here's another lesson you might want to consider. Don't let your contracted talent openly negotiate with the competition. Tony Khan knows as well as anybody, this is a carny business, and a handshake deal in pro wrestling means about as much as an Olympic gold medal for Russia. The MJF character is slowly working himself into a shoot, but in a good way for him, because somehow this little genius has managed to stoke the flames of a bidding war on AEW television. To borrow a phrase from GOAT comedian Dave Chappelle, this is where keeping it real goes wrong. Particularly for Tony Khan and AEW, who are now having real-life disagreements with MJF backstage about his contract and future with AEW. All because they were trying to blur those lines, brother, which I'm all for in pro wrestling, but as a promoter, you should really only blur the lines when you're in complete control, unless there's a secret contract we don't know about, but that doesn't seem to be the case with Tony Khan. MJF, like all free agents in 2024, doesn't give a damn about tribalism or allegiances or a wrestling war. Like any great worker, MJF is about his bag, and 2024 will come down to whose bag is the biggest. MJF has even taken this free agency act to podcasts, namely an in-character interview with Ariel Helwani, where he continued to sing WWE's praises. This is where reports of tension between MJF and Tony Khan first started, and apparently they've only gotten worse. Tony Khan is a younger, hipper, edgier booker in these wrestling wars, and that has served as a huge advantage when it comes to the presentation of AEW, which often comes off like a party with hot crowds and heated matches. But amid all the pros of Tony Khan's youthful exuberance comes, well, cons. Like Tony being more of a player's coach, liable to being manipulated by his players. A player's coach is not the authority figure to tell Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin to maybe not kill themselves during a TV show watched by the second lowest audience of the year. If MJF does leave AEW, he'd be a perfect fit in WWE. No, seriously. You know why? Because his talent is undeniable. AEW supremacists often argue that MJF's act wouldn't translate to WWE because he can't curse. Jesus Christ, these AEW supremacists are right. What will MJF ever do without his precious curse words? That's like saying Eddie Murphy can't do television because he's not a clean comic. Every great comic knows how to work clean, like Eddie did in his Tonight Show debut that launched his career. And like every great comic that can work clean, every great pro wrestling can translate their style based on the promotion, just like AJ Styles, just like Seth Rollins, just like Dean Ambrose, and most recently, just like Cody Rhodes. People who think MJF's act relies on crassness and curse words aren't giving him the credit he deserves as a great performer. MJF knows how to get heat. Even as arguably the best heel working today, he knows how to get a crowd to rally around him the way he did in his hometown of Long Island this week on Dynamite. MJF spends every waking moment in the public eye in character and is constantly thinking of ways to piss off wrestling fans. If you really think all that would just dry up because he can't talk about skanks, I've got a bridge on Long Island to sell you. My favorite thing about MJF has nothing to do with his cursing, but rather his final boss booking. MJF has mastered the art of throwing obstacles in front of a babyface en route to getting to him. So his matches come with more heat because they're always presented as the babyface finally getting their hands on the dastardly heel. This was the case with his stipulations against Cody Rhodes, the 5 labors of Jericho, and most recently the stipulations he handed down to Wardlow. Any wrestler feuding with MJF has to go through MJF's minions before getting to the final boss in a big match. AEW has done a good job protecting MJF's star power, which is why he barely wrestles on television and is almost never on Rampage. Jesus Christ. Most MJF TV segments aren't even matches, but grandstanding proclamations of his greatness and contract signings. Sounds like a WWE superstar to me. WWE has barely tinkered with the Cody Rhodes character outside of an entrance with much more pyro that actually makes him come off as an even bigger star. Hopefully they let MJF do his final boss booking in WWE so WWE can advertise these segments in advance to build anticipation for their television shows, thereby boosting their viewership. Imagine that. When AEW made its debut in the New York market last year, they outperformed WWE. WWE's even struggling to sell tickets in Madison Square Garden. MJF could help swing that momentum as not only a WWE superstar from Long Island, but also a top free agent who could shake up the product. Judging by how Cody Rhodes is being booked in that same role, it's no wonder MJF seems to be itching to jump ship in the bidding war of 2024, especially with Roman Reigns seemingly winding down and WWE's top spot soon to be up for grabs. Is MJF WWE bound? If so, what other AEW top stars will join him in 2024? Let me know in the comments.